السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. نيابة عن المركز الوطني.
Good evening. On behalf of the National E-Learning Center and the International Conference on E-Learning for Human Capability Development, we welcome you all to this session on learning platforms. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Hajar Al-Aspour, and we are going to discuss e-learning platform experience in this conference, which extends over 4 days. I would like to remind you that interpreting is available in both English and Arabic. Please activate it through the interpreting icon at the bottom of the screen. If you have any questions, please write them in English or in Arabic in the chat, and we shall address them towards the end of the session.
Conference on e-learning for human capability development, we welcome you all to this session where we'll be discussing e-learning platform experience. Allow me to introduce myself. I am Dr. Hajar bin Asfour, the moderator of this session. Before we start our session, please allow me to present a few guidelines for the audience. Interpretation is available in Arabic for this session, and you can activate the interpretation icon in your Zoom page. At the end of this session, there will be 10 minutes for questions and answers. If you have any questions, you may post them in the chat, either in English or Arabic. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce 4 distinguished speakers today. Mr. Jeff Majinkaldar, Dr. Anant Agarwal, Dr. Badr Al-Harbi, and Mr. Andy Hancock. In this session, we will have an enlightening discussion about upskilling and reskilling through e-learning platforms and their impact in meeting the labor market needs. Let me give you a brief introduction about our distinguished speakers. Mr. Jeff Majinkaldar is the CEO of Coursera. He joined Coursera as CEO in June 2017. Since then, he helped the company grow to over 92 million learners served by high-quality learning content from more than 250 of the world's top universities and industry educators. Our second speaker is Dr. Anant Agarwal, who is the founder and CEO of edX and the Chief Open Education Officer at T2U Incorporated. Dr. Agarwal is guiding and furthering the company's mission to increase access to high-quality education for everyone, everywhere. He joined TU through the edX acquisition, where he directed its evolution into one of the world's leading online learning platforms as founder and CEO. Our third speaker is Dr. Badr Al-Harbi, the Deputy Director General for Training at Institute of Public Administration and a board member in Human Resources Development Fund. Dr. Al-Harbi conducted several developmental programs for the public sector's employees. In addition, he provided many administrative studies and consultations in the fields of administrative organization, strategic planning, and human resources management. Last but not least, Mr. Andy Hancock, the CEO of FutureLearn, a global learning platform founded in 2012 by the Open University with a mission to transform access to education. FutureLearn has a global network of almost 18 million learners and hosted over 5,000 online courses and partnerships with more than 250 leading global brands and universities. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Majinkaldar to start his presentation.
Great, thank you. And thank you for having me here. I'm really excited about this session and especially the chance to talk about the power of platforms. I mean, I've been at Coursera for the last 5 years. A major reason I joined was to help provide greater access to education, but I also really liked the business model. Platform business models are very powerful, and I think we've seen during the pandemic some of the speed and scale that could be achieved with platforms, and so it'll be a lot of fun to talk about that today. Let me just call up my slides here. So I'm here to talk a little bit about the power of platforms. Hopefully it doesn't slant too much towards Coursera, but I wanted to give the audience a sense for why platforms are so powerful. And I think you'll probably hear the same thing from my colleagues at edX and at FutureLearn. But platforms really have special properties that have had a huge impact on many different industries. Now, before we get started talking about platforms, I thought I would just put up a quote here from the Secretary General of the UN. Clearly, COVID has had a tragic impact on many people and continues to this day. But what we have seen as 1.6 billion people saw their schools closed is a huge forced experiment to online learning, and also a huge forced experiment to remote work. And I think these twin forces of online learning and remote work could really reshape the landscape of opportunity and equity in the decades ahead. The World Economic Forum talks about 5 drivers of social mobility. And what I really like to do is sort of see these 5 drivers as a system. I think 2 of the pillars are education and work. One is allows people to develop human capital. The other allows that human capital to be translated into financial capital. Technology and platforms are fundamentally redefining the possibilities for learning anywhere, anytime, and increasingly working anywhere, anytime. And institutions have a really big role, especially in the way that institutions can embrace platforms to provide better learning opportunities to more people and also employment opportunities to more people. This is a slide from the World Economic Forum. On the left, it shows some of the top jobs that are expected to be emerging in the next 5 years or so. On the right is a chart from Microsoft that details, in their estimate, the growth in digital job capacity. These are jobs that require digital skills to grow from 41 million jobs in 2020 to another 150 million additional jobs, to 190 million jobs by 2025. And the slide kind of breaks out where many of those jobs will be coming from. Increasingly, the future career opportunities are those that will be won by people who have digital types of skills. And what's really neat is when you look at the ability, when you have digital skills, to not only learn online, but also work remotely, the chance to have a far greater distribution of opportunity to work, we believe, is in the coming years. And so people often say that talent is equally distributed, but opportunity is not. We see a world where opportunity will be far more equally distributed because of remote work. Now, not every job is going to be remote and not every company will embrace it. But for instance, Coursera has a work from anywhere policy where anyone today can work at Coursera from anywhere in the world. You can go to offices. We have offices. You can go to them if you want, but nobody has to come to the office if they don't want to. We are tapping into the best talent in the world. And I suspect because of the war for great talent, many employers will do the same thing. So now let's talk a little bit about platforms. So here's a quote from Mark Andreessen. He's a technologist, so the quote is a bit technology skewed. It says, "A platform is a system that can be programmed and therefore customized by outside developers who are users of the platform, and in that way adapted to countless needs and niches that the platform's original developers could not have possibly contemplated, much less had time to accommodate." So that is a technologist view of what a platform is. What we like to say at Coursera, to kind of simplify it, platforms enable others to solve problems and create value. This is the power of platforms. It's a collaboration platform where someone writes software, but essentially the real value comes from people who build things, author things, create things, and then offer those to consumers who come to that platform to get those things that have been created. So what does this look like industry by industry? I mean, higher education is not the first. We've seen the platform come in and redefine retail with Amazon. Netflix has redefined entertainment with the platform with streaming entertainment content. Spotify in music, Uber in personal transportation, Airbnb in travel and accommodation. These are all industries that went from vertically integrated to platformed. And what we believe is that higher education is now under the, sort of in the first innings of digital transformation. And COVID really spurred this on. And what you see for virtually every industry that goes through platforming, you see increased selection, increased convenience, reduced cost, increased quality, increased personalization, increased access. And we think that's really great for the end learners and consumers. And what a lot of people miss is a lot of the power comes from collaboration, the ability to open up the opportunity for anyone in the world to solve problems that folks have using that platform. So platforms are the story, in our opinion, the story of collaboration. And so the story of Coursera started with a collaboration between Andrew Ng and Daphne Koller back in 2012. They're two computer science professors from Stanford. They have a mission to provide universal access to world-class education. And this collaboration between two professors turned into a collaboration among just a few universities. This was back in 2012. The first 5 universities that joined together on Coursera were Michigan, Penn, Princeton, and Stanford. We are a B certified corporation, so a lot of that ethos of Coursera.org and that mission to bring high quality education to the world is actually now encoded in our legal charter in the state of Delaware to balance the needs of stakeholders, not just the shareholders. And this collaboration of two professors has turned into a collaboration among millions of individuals, hundreds of different institutions, and thousands of businesses and governments and universities who have access to this content. So today, Coursera is a platform of 92 million learners around the world. 80% of them are outside the US. Those 5 initial universities have grown to 175. We've added industry partners, 75 industry partners like Google and Microsoft and Facebook and others. And together they've authored more than 5,000 courses. And these courses are being made available to thousands of institutions, thousands of universities, thousands of businesses, and hundreds of government agencies who are looking to create skilling for their employees and their students and their citizens. A quick look at some of our university partners. They're spread all around the world, from the US, Europe, Latin America, Russia, Australia, India, the Middle East. In the Middle East, some of the most notable universities are authoring on Coursera, and we're very, very grateful to have them as partners. We have many courses in Arabic, either translated or originally in Arabic, but another great thing about platforms is you can have such a diversity of content on these platforms. I mentioned we also work with industry partners, and so these platforms allow not just universities, but industry partners who want to train people on how to use their products, whether that's a cloud platform or whether that's a chipset or whether that's a 3D gaming engine. The world of tech is in the business of educating consumers and developers on how to use their technology. In terms of individuals, platforms make content and learning available to everyone in the world. And what we're seeing is the fastest growth rates on Coursera coming from emerging markets, markets which often don't have the same level of access to higher education that developed countries have. In the Middle East, we see learners that are younger, they skew slightly more male, and they are far more likely to be on mobile devices than in other parts of the world. We're also seeing incredible collaboration between universities and industry on Coursera. A good example of this is the Google IT Support Certificate. So Google wanted to create a certification program for IT support. There's a lot of demand for this job. The job does not require a college degree. The job does not require any prior experience, and the skills can be learned fully online. So Google built a 5-course series that allows people to get the skills online and then get introduced to what we call career pathways. We have 150 hiring partners who've partnered who are looking for IT support professionals. And now a lot of universities are giving academic credit towards a bachelor's degree for people who have finished this industry certificate. So what you see is a world where many, many people, millions of people, will be able to start their education with an industry relevant professional certificate, get a job making a good pay, often remote job, and while they're working, get their bachelor's degree fully online and get credit for that degree because of the original learning that they did in those professional certificates. To date, we've had over 2 million enrollments in these professional certificates. And what we've been doing over the last few years is working with industry partners to say, first, where are the high demand entry-level digital jobs that don't require a college degree and don't require any prior experience? and the skills can be fully learned online. Here are a bunch of them. And then we approach the industry partners. They build usually a 4 or 5 course series, and then that becomes really the basis as a digital learning on-ramp to a new career in social media marketing and cybersecurity and UX design, sales operations, et cetera. And increasingly what we're doing is we're actually working with accreditors who are making recommendations to universities. So in the US, this is the American Council on Education. They're giving credit recommendations to universities to say, we've reviewed the rigor of this material. We believe that this certificate is worth 12 credits towards a bachelor's degree. And country after country, we're starting to see ministers of education work on this kind of credit recommendation process. I mean, India is making a big move here as well, so that not just universities, but also industry can help in the creation of content that can count towards a college degree. We see that these entry-level professional certificates are especially interesting to women who are starting to learn not only STEM skills online, but increasingly the skills to these entry-level digital jobs. And especially during the pandemic, we've seen a big ramp up in the share of enrollments accounted for by women. Now, I want to show you a little bit about, so what's this e-learning platform really look like? At the risk of it looking too much Coursera, but I hope that my colleagues will share some of the cool features of theirs as well. Just wanted to give you a taste of what's possible using technology. One is the learning can happen in every language through translation and also through native content. So on your desktop device, on your mobile device, right to left in Arabic, standard in thousands of courses on Coursera. You also can learn on mobile devices, not just desktop. And what's really cool about this is you can download all the courses onto a mobile device so that if you have intermittent connectivity or if you have intermittent power, and in many parts of Africa, the Middle East, Latin America, learners don't have continuous access to the power grid or to connectivity. They can be learning anytime, any place, and then it syncs up the next time that they get close to a hotspot or a data plan. Speaking of data plans, data can be very expensive to learners. So we're also creating ways to download courses, what we call low data download. You can basically select the resolution and download courses onto your mobile device that are compressed with fewer frame rates. It's a great way to save time and money in terms of downloads for people, but it really increases accessibility to learning. There's not just video lectures, there's also hands-on projects. So the ability to learn digital tools step by step with an instructor fully in a browser without downloading any software. No matter what your compute is, no matter what your storage is, no matter what your bandwidth is, so long as you have some, you can have full compute ability to run actual digital software and learn how to use Photoshop, learn how to use Tableau, learn how to use SAS, all in a browser. So the ability for learners to get access to digital hands-on skilling is far higher, with platforms than with non-platforms. AI is a huge part of what's also possible with platforms. The ability to have personalized learning, have personalized coaches that really tailor the learning experience to each individual. We've also connected platforms. So if I could pull this up, it looks like it might be loading. We have a plugin with Zoom where you can do a Zoom lecture in Zoom, and using a Zoom app, which is it's called Live to Coursera, you can actually, as you're recording your Zoom lecture, it automatically is creating an online course on Coursera that's immediately available on Coursera with nothing else. You simply say, record to Coursera as you're doing your Zoom lecture. So the ability to connect platforms together, and this is a lot of what NELC is doing, will even amplify more the power of each individual platform. We also have a lot of great examples, and I won't go through all of them, but I just pulled out 3 of large institutions using platforms to make a big difference. So one of our biggest public sector partners is the Abu Dhabi School of Government. In the last few years, they've trained more than 60,000 individuals, over 1 million hours of learning, over 125,000 courses completed, all online. We're working with the Ministry of Education and many of the top universities in Morocco. 18 universities will be using Coursera for Campus for all students coming through their first year of undergraduate programs. We expect this to be something that reaches over 300,000 people in just the next few years. And then finally, during COVID, we worked with the Commonwealth of Learning, another sort of institution serving institutions. They actually serve 54 different Commonwealth countries around the world. Using platforms, they could reach not just one country, one institution could reach 54 different countries. They were able to basically allow students during COVID to have more than 1 million different course enrollments. So I'll wrap it up with that, just saying that many of us are unfamiliar with the speed and scale of platforms, but I think what NELC is doing, and with my colleagues here on the line, we'll probably talk about similar things, the speed and scale of transformation is really amazing. And I think it's an incredible opportunity to create more equal opportunity for all learners in the world. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Majin Kalda. Now I would like to welcome our next speaker, Dr. Agarwal, to start his presentation.
Thank you very much, and really delighted to join you all to talk about education platforms and the future of learning. You know, I loved the way Jeff described how platform technologies are revolutionizing learning. I will spend a few minutes, I'll start with spending a few minutes overviewing what edX is as a platform. But following that, I'll spend most of my time talking about what the future of education might look like with platform technology and where the world is going. Let me start by sharing my screen here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, yes, it's
fantastic. Okay. So my talk will be about you know, what will be the major trends in education going forward. But before I start, I'd like to give you a quick overview of edX itself. I'll start with acknowledging our amazing partnership with NELC, the National E-Learning Center of Saudi Arabia, where we have partnered with NELC to expand access to learning through the edX platform in the Saudi, in the region, particularly as we, you know, through FutureX and the efforts of NELC. So really excited about our partnership with NELC. A quick overview of edX. As Jeff mentioned, we are a platform company. Different people have different ways of describing platforms. I'm an educator, so I'll describe a platform company from an educator-centric standpoint. They have taught at MIT for 33 years. And so my view is a platform is a place where you bring producers and consumers together. And so at edX, what we do is we bring some of the top professors and educators from some of the top institutions in the world. So these institutions include MIT, Harvard, Oxford, Cambridge, and companies like Google, IBM, Amazon Web Services, and others. These partners create the content and courses. And we have learners from all over the world and companies from all over the world and colleges taking these courses offered by the top institutions. Today, we have you know, close to 45 million learners on the edX platform from every single country in the world, over 1,000 companies taking our courses, and hundreds of thousands of employees at the companies. And some of the images you see here are real learners on edX who have transformed their lives, whether they're from individual learners or learners in a company. So that's how I see a platform as an educator. We are connecting learners who have an appetite for learning, for changing their lives, connect them to some of the top education in the world. And the learning on edX is available for free. And so you want a certificate, you pay a small fee. We also work, as I said, with nations and governments and organizations like NELC to increase access to education everywhere. As learners come to the platform, they learn and they also get innovative credentials. Some of the amazing credentials that learners get on the platform include micro-bachelors, micro-masters, full master's degrees, professional certificates. And I'll talk a little bit more about these modular programs like micro-bachelors and micro-masters. These are at the centerpiece of some of our partnership with the NELC. And here, just as an example, for learners who completed micro-master certificates, within 3 months, 89% of them are telling us that they had a career advancement, which could be a pay raise, a promotion, or a new job. And so people can take these programs, complete them in a modular fashion in about 6 to 9 months, and then get real career advancement following that. And then finally, edX was acquired by 2U. 2U is the world's leading education technology company. They acquired edX about 3 months ago. And as we joined our portfolios, 2U and edX have now become the world's most comprehensive education company, with every product, every learning product that learners like available on the platform. Everything from MOOCs, which are free courses, to executive education for executives at corporations, to professional certificates, to boot camps, to micro-bachelors, micro-masters, undergraduate degrees, master's degrees, and even doctoral degrees. And so now edX as a platform offers this entire domain of offerings. We like to joke that it's free to degree, and 3,500 offerings across 230 partners combined. So we're really excited about this combination, where a learner can now get pretty much everything they want through their career track, whether it's skills-focused courses and certificates, or an entire doctoral degree, should they choose to go for that. So now let me dive into talking a bit about the future of education. And there were two major trends that drove the kind of new normal that's before us. So my talk is about four things, the four major trends that I see in the new normal. And there were two major forces that are causing these trends. One is the future of work. The work is going to change in the, people have talked about how half of today's jobs will be transformed. And so there's a huge need for upskilling around the world. And this was before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit a couple of years ago, and we're still in the throes of it. And that also drove a major shift in education. And at the highest level, I've been amazed that the trend that COVID has driven is towards learner centricity. That is, for the first time, people, professors, education institutions are putting the learner first. Let us think about what the learner needs and bring education to the learner, as opposed to having the learner travel and come to a university or college or a campus. It's all becoming learner-centric, and platforms are key to making that happen. So I'm going to talk about four major shifts for the future of learning. And it would be helpful for all of us to keep this in mind. I believe these are the future of education. The first one, and no surprise here, is an accelerated move towards online lifelong learning. COVID simply accelerated what was already happening. The second is a big shift to shorter modular programs. Third is a shift to blended learning on campus, as opposed to purely in-person learning. And the fourth, and this may come as a big surprise to many of you, is a shift to human skills and corporate learning as a result of the pandemic. So let's go through each of these very quickly. Shift to lifelong learning. As at edX, we do surveys of the general population. And and this is not edX learners, this is the general population. And this was a survey of US adults from 18 to 64 years old. 58% of them are telling us that COVID-19 will impact their decision and they will seek additional education. These are people from 18 to 64. And 45% of them are telling us that they're more likely to enroll in an online course that will help them increase their career prospects. So huge shift towards lifelong learning and career-focused learning. I won't go through the details here, but for people who are in jobs, 25% of them that came to edX in the past couple of years are looking to upskill in their current job. And about 11% of people coming to edX at this time have been unemployed because of COVID, and they're coming in, like Maggie, for example, who is coming in to learn new skills in order to get a job as the economy expands after COVID. 16% of learners coming to edX are students from colleges that are looking to augment and replace their schooling because all of the schooling has been disrupted at this time. And just one example is Assad. Assad is taking Introduction to FinTech from Hong Kong University on edX, so that when he graduates, he will be more employable. The second big trend that we see is a shift to modular and shorter programs. Part of a survey, we surveyed learners as to what kind of jobs they were looking for, what kind of learning they wanted to do. And 26% of them are telling us that they want education that is safe during an economic downturn or is pandemic proof. Not surprising. What we're also hearing is that both from companies and from learners, that they're looking for shorter programs, modular programs that they can complete in 3 to 6 months so that they can very quickly earn new skills that will make them better as the pandemic progresses. Companies are saying the same thing, that they want their workforces to come back better, come back stronger as a result of this. And some of the key areas, not surprising, are areas like data science and digital marketing, writing, professional writing is very important. And so these are just some examples of areas where people want to upskill and reskill with short programs. These are all available on edX through our partners. And in particular, edX launched 2 major new items, very innovative, called micro bachelors and micro masters. Instead of full master's degrees, learners want micro masters. Micro masters are short programs that learners can complete in about 6 to 9 months and earn a micro master's. Learners are also looking for micro bachelors, which are short programs that are credit backed, that they can earn and apply the credit towards full bachelor's degrees. So just as one example, we have a micro master's in supply chain management from MIT on edX. And you've all heard about the disruption in supply chains. And so enrollments in the supply chain management program on edX have gone through the roof during these COVID times, as everybody's learning about how do we address this whole process, particularly the supply chain process at this time. Micro bachelors are university level programs that are credit backed. And we just announced 2 days ago a micro bachelor's program from Harvard in university chemistry. These are 4 courses, and when learners complete them, they get credit on a university transcript from TSU on the edX platform that they can apply towards fuller degrees in the future. So modular stackable programs, so you do a small program, and then you can stack it up to do a full program later, a full degree later. That's becoming very important. And Mia is just one example where she completed a MicroMasters program and immediately got a new role, new responsibility, and a significant pay bump. And it's very important for Gen Zs. You know, if you look at the Far East or India and other countries, this is the population that is exploding, and they're looking for these new skills and categories. The third big shift that I predict is a shift to blended learning on campus. You know, as we moved into the COVID era from BCE, before COVID era, to CE COVID era, the whole world went to online learning. Now, as COVID is being more in control, although not gone, we see people switching back to traditional education, but I see the future as blended. I see the new normal of education as blended, even on campuses, where I predict that in the future, roughly half of the learning on campus will also be completely online and half will be in person. To help that trend, based on major requests from our university partners at edX, 2 years ago, we launched edX Online Campus. edX Online Campus is a way where we make edX courses, a catalog of courses, available completely for free for universities and colleges around the world. So if you're a university or college, you can enroll all your campus students completely for free in this catalog of edX courses, including free certificates. And you can take Harvard courses, MIT courses, courses from the top universities completely for free for your campus students, including certifications for free as well. Let me be clear, not just the courses, even the certificates are completely for free if your institution signs up for edX Online Campus. And we have over 1,000 institutions around the world who have already signed up into this program. And lastly, I'll talk about the shift to human skills in corporate learning. So before COVID in 2019, we do surveys of our corporate learners on a regular basis. And as we talk to corporations, the top 15 courses being taken by employees at companies were, no surprise, in machine learning, AI, business, data science, computer science, and so on. Mostly what you might call tech and hard skills. Top 15 courses. But then during the pandemic, as we continued doing the surveys from companies began to focus more and more on what you might call human skills. And so among these top 15 courses, 3 major course categories came up: courses in leadership, communication, and emotional intelligence. And these are purely for corporate learners. So these human style courses, soft skills courses, have now become among the top of the list for corporations post the pandemic. So very, very interesting to learn how even corporate learning is evolving post-pandemic. So to summarize very quickly, I see 4 major shifts in the future of learning. The shift to online lifelong learning, shift to shorter modular programs like micro bachelors and micro masters. And I'm super excited about our partnership with the NELC in this area. Shift to blended learning on campus, and shift to human skills in corporate learning. And again, very excited about a partnership with NELC, focusing on all of these 4 trends, including shorter modular programs using micro bachelors and micro masters. And so let me close by saying that we are going into a new normal for learning. This new normal is a good thing. And for us educators and transformational people, this is the moment for us to seize the moment and make true transformation in education happen. And so we are really excited about a partnership with NELC and FutureX to work together to make this future happen and make it happen now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Anand. And we are also in NELC very happy for this partnership. Now I would like to invite Dr. Al-Harbi to start his presentation. And we would like to inform the participants that Dr. Al-Harbi's presentation is in Arabic and the interpretation is available in English. You can activate the interpretation icon in your Zoom page. Go ahead, Doctor.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Allow me to deliver my presentation in Arabic and enjoy the session and the interpretation. أنا بتكلم عن تجربة المعهد.
I will talk about the Institute's experience, إثرائي. And I will begin by speaking about launching the platform. This is not just for the IPA.
وبدأت المبادرة مباشرة يعني في ظرف قصير واستكملت جميع مخرجاتها في ديسمبر الماضي. إطلاقها كان رفع كفاءة رأس المال البشري في القطاع الحكومي من خلال تطوير معارف مهارات وقدرات موظفي القطاع الحكومي متخطية كافة الحدود الزمنية والمكان.
And Ithrai platform has won the award, and I will provide some numbers and then I will give some details about it. Since October 2017 to January of 2022, we have more than 3.8 million training case. We have more than 1 million participants, and the conferences that is recorded more than 458,000 attended, and in the live streaming more than 230K, and the short clips more than 391,000 in a very short time. I will just talk about Ithrai path and the institutions from the beginning. The institution have been established in 1961, and the main role of, or the main mission of this institution was to provide training for governmental workers and consultation for the other agencies in general. In 1971, it accepted the first conference, and 2000 also accepted the higher committee for administration organization. 2016 launching the Academy of Developing Leaders, and 2017 was the milestone of launching الإثرائي platform, and it in 4 years time it was able to train double the numbers of 60 years of training of the institute. And now I'm gonna show you the training, the إثرائي training in the institution. In the 1382 Hijri calendar, we started to conduct the training, and then we started to conduct the after 3 years to conduct courses and after that, in 1391 Hijri, we started to conduct long programs that give a professional and academic certificate, and then later on were requested by the Royal Court to conduct courses for the private sector, and we started, and everyone graduate from the institute, they find a job offer right away. We had a challenge and to keep the institute develop and get bigger, because to accept more people, and we were training about 7,000 people in the year, and then we were focused to work on in the programs, the short ones and the long ones, and we reached more than 91 attendee in a year, and all of them in traditional. And the problem is we are only in 4 cities in Riyadh, Mecca, Asir, and Eastern Province, and the other than that we don't have any thing for them, and there are people who want to take a course and need. So we started to work with universities, and we have memorandums of understanding with all universities. So rather than 25 people come to the institute, they go, we only send the trainer to the region and to use the university's labs. But it's still, the challenge is very big, and the capacity is not enough to accept all the people. But in the year of 2017, we started إثرائي, and it helped us to make every governmental employer can take many opportunities. We used to more than 800,000 per semester, and we have 45 to 50,000 courses. But now with إثرائي platform, everyone can, whether they can attend or through the إثرائي platform. We started to keep ذلك until the year 2021, and we started to start the e-learning. And this line, that means in synchronous training, the trainer is in the classroom, but the trainees in different regions of the kingdom. Our programs of إثرائي, we have a number of training programs, and all the certificates are certified by the institute, and we will show. These are only examples. Some of the programs, we call it lights, إثرائي lights, and that basically is showing movies to show duties or code of conduct or systems, or the very short clips that explains that helps the education, the general education of them. And the e-conferences through إثرائي, we conducted more than 44 e-conference, and these are some of the examples of the conferences their excellencies and a lot of agencies used this. The latest e-conference was the best practices of leadership and administration, and been conducted by the CEO of the national manufacturing company, Mr. Mutlaq Rashid. He conducted from his office, and he was able to resume his work without a huge disruption. And he's one of the leaders of the industry in the kingdom. And after the conference, after we finish the e-conference, we make the recording available in the platform, so enable the people who wasn't able to attend it live. The scope of Ithra'i, we have governmental management, communication and media, leadership and administration, entrepreneurship and innovation, economy and finance, and many other. Now we are talking about the evolving of Ithra'i and development. It went through many steps. We approach it through an agile approach, which helped us to be very resilient to the market, and there is a fast-paced changing happening in the industry and everywhere, and even the content by itself need to be developed while they are there. So this approach helped us from all aspects of analysis, designing, programming, testing, reviewing, and launching. What I want to say is very important, that we worked with technical aspects. We use 100% of international experts and 100% delivery of the institute capability. The next level, after the establishment and the development, and we launched the second development that launched in March 2020, and it was an electronic development, and there was 50% development happened by international experts and 50% of the institute capability. And we are making sure that there is no project that's conducted in Ithra'i unless the people of the platform Ithra'i to learn from the experts and to carry out the work later on. And that's increased the participation of the organic people of the institution. The third level that we are currently living in Ithra'i, which was after the establishing of the after developing Ithra'i, there was a huge learning from the agencies, and we needed to expand and to provide not Ithra'i for individuals and public sector, but also to private sector. And we launched the third one, and it was depending on the benchmark, and there was a huge focus on the UI and the finish of this project by the end of this year 2022. But whenever we finish the development, we'll launch it. What I would like to highlight right now, this project now it is 70% of the capability are organic in developing this project, and 30% only on using the international expertise. We are not targeting 100%. We have to cooperate with international experts, but the team of Ithra'i include different teams. We have a team of design, curriculum design, and then we have a scenario developer, and we have the production and motion graphic, and after that it goes to the operation and following team. They launch it on the team, and the technical team will start to monitor. And also there is a business development team who can monitor the market and the development, and they actually could be attending this session to learn from all the expertise that's been presented here. And then later on there is the procurement and project team. And the third level, we launched what we call Ithra'i for institutional training. There is a lot of institutions want to train their employees, so we launched this for any governmental or company or any organization that want to take their own platform with their own identity and to put the programs that's suitable for their employees and can build their own and their e-conferences, and we provide to develop these programs. And this is it's going to be within the third development, the 3.0, and there is a lot of clients. These are some of them, and the latest one we started with is the Ministry of Economy and Planning. What is makes Ithra'i special is local platforms in Arabic, using trainers who are nationals and qualified, the continuous development and a variety of specialties and specifications from technical aspects, very easy and smooth UAI. And I would like to kindly ask everyone to visit the website and to see it, and they can use whatever device they want to use. We are using the XAPI standards to follow the behavior of the trainee during using the platforms, with whatever suitable with it. Ithra'i reduced the cost of it, and now we trained more than 3 million. It's reduced the cost significantly, especially for the governmental sector, especially to find tickets and all of that. So now, but the higher quality. When we talk about financial sustainability, Ithra'i is started with the governmental sector and now for individuals and institutions, and we are exploring that there could be financial gains, and the target to make this platform is the first choice in the Arabic content in the region, and that requires a huge work from the institution and the team of Ithra'i, and to keep up with the technological development and the competition. We need to the continuity and to add more content, especially short courses. So we have more than 308 products, but currently we make to develop further products with faster pace and faster launch base. And the technical support, that's a challenge in Ithra'i. We have a huge demand on training that requires continuous monitor and support, and we need to expand in our technical support. I hope I didn't take a lot of your time. I would like to thank Dr. As-Saad or Dr. Bender Sajan, the head of the institution, for his continuous support and his participation in the platform. They allow me to provide this presentation while maybe I am the least participant in the project, and I would like to also expand my gratitude for the colleagues from the institute and the participant. Thank you very much.
Joined the organization. I was delighted to hear Jeff talk about platforms, because my background, I spent the last 8 years in financial services, running a large price comparison business within the UK, which is very much around how you can create an ecosystem that works both for your customers and for your partners. And having joined FutureLearn, it's become very clear to me very early that that's exactly what we need to do. And it's very much about how you can deliver wonderful customer experiences, wonderful learner experiences, and deliver services to your partners that means that they benefit and they get the enrollments that they need. So I do feel really quite humbled to be on here. Please bear in mind that I've been here for 3 months, but I'm just going to give you a little bit of history about FutureLearn and some of the key areas that differentiates FutureLearn and the areas that we're really proud of. So I certainly joined this sector because it's a sector that is definitely growing. I think it's an opportunity to do real good. And I think the way people manage their careers and develop is definitely changing. And so therefore the role of education and learning to enable people to develop and move on their careers is evolving as well. So if we talk about ourselves, so FutureLearn, we are a British company. We were founded in 2012 by the Open University. I'm sure you know who the Open University is. If you don't, it's a true pioneer in distance learning. It was founded in the 1970s. And I think their expertise in distance learning over the last 50 years has given FutureLearn a real advantage and differentiator in how we've designed our learning experiences for people learning remotely and online. A couple of years ago, Seek, Australia's #1 employment marketplace, they invested in FutureLearn because they recognized the significant opportunity for people to continue to build their skills around employment trends and develop skills for the future. So their investment has not only enabled FutureLearn to scale, but it's also brought us a really valuable viewpoint of what's taking place within the employment market and what trends we should then be focusing on to deliver those services to our customers. Certainly the mission, which is to transform access to education, was a very key pull to me. I think it's really important that irrespective of background, people have the opportunity to develop new skills and to learn. And so that was a real pull for me to join the organization. If we look at it from a learner perspective, what does FutureLearn try to do? We want to allow people to access courses anytime, anywhere at an affordable price. And we need to ensure that we are consistently delivering high quality education in digital formats. And again, that's an area that really interested me, how we can leverage data, how we can leverage technology to deliver learners a different experience in a digital world. It's not just taking a classroom experience and just replicating it online. How can you actually deliver those experiences using digital innovation? So our courses are clearly thoughtfully designed with step-by-step, week-by-week modules, and social prompts is a really big part of it, which I'll come onto in a moment. And we have a good reputation for quality, and recognised for a number of British and Australian educational partners. That means our certificates and our accreditations are really creditworthy for employers and for others. When I joined, everyone was talking to me about pathways. And for a while, it was, well, what do you mean by pathways? And very quickly it became clear. It's effectively how you can enable people to create this concept of lifelong learning. And whether it's educator-led or machine learning-led, how can you help somebody develop new skills and re-engage them and offer them different courses depending on what they want to do? It may be they want to stay within their existing career, or it may be that they want to pivot into a different career. Social learning, as I say, is a big part. And social learning is really about how you can create an environment where you have peer support, where in a digital environment, people can support each other, creating these socially connected experiences, which empowers individuals to learn together, either from each other or, of course, from experts. And what's the outcome of that? So we've got 18 million learners on our platform, and they are very much aligned to our quest to learn and improve their lives. Obviously, we are a marketplace, we are a platform, so we need to ensure that from an educator and from a partner perspective, we deliver to their needs as well. And in the short time I've been in the organization, I think it's becoming clear that those needs have evolved quite rapidly in the past 12 to 18 months around the pandemic, of what they actually need, services, and how we can help them deliver to their learners. So we offer a ready-made marketplace platform where partners can take existing courses. They can either build their new courses and put them onto the platform, or we can help and guide them into the best way of structuring those courses to create those compelling learner experiences. And secondly, it's obviously ensuring that our enrollments turn into completions. So we ensure that those customers that start a course complete the course. And that's clearly a very important part, not only for the educator, but from us as well, because we want to develop people's skills and expertise, and completion is far more important than just looking at those numbers who've enrolled and started a course and not necessarily finished. So for me, it's very much around how, as we move forward, and this touched on what Jeff was saying around different sectors, is how we can use data, how we can use technology, and how we can move forward the experience of digital learning, because the world is moving quickly and consumer demands are changing. And people are, what used to be a differentiator is now a hygiene factor. So how you can move those table stakes forward. We obviously couldn't do it without our partnership network, which is also a big differentiator for us. As I say, we're a British company. We have a strong bias to UK and Australia. We have about 260 partners, a quarter of those being the top universities in the world. We also partner with a number of industry partners, not-for-profit and government organisations, example being the UK's National Health Service is a big partner of ours, and also the Australian government. And I just wanted to touch on examples where working with government as course partners, we developed a 5-year global campaign with Austrade. Australia is a popular destination for international students. Austrade chose to work with future learners, part of the Study with Australia initiative, whereby the Australian government wanted to showcase the expertise and value of Australian education to global learners. And through Future Learn, the platform, we won awards for Study with Australia. And this campaign attracted over 20 Australian higher education establishments, offered 52 courses, and reached over 870,000 learners. And they've agreed to do that for another 5 years with us. So why do our partners and learners love us, and how are we going to really evolve that? Well, we've got a diverse learner base, which was also a real pull to the sector as well, because it really is an international learner base. And we've got a diverse learner base across the world. As a British company, clearly we're strong in the UK, but the British education system is renowned internationally. And I think that's why we've attracted students across the globe. And we are seeing similar trends around growth in certain countries that Jeff pointed out earlier. Our largest audience base is the Gen Z, millennial age group. This reflects that age group which is looking to advance their careers. So, and our data is showing that the majority of future learners take these courses for professional development as opposed to hobbyist or academia. And the final point I'll add, as you can see in the graph, we've seen a massive increase in the number of young learners who are using the platform. So since 2019 to 2020, we saw a 4 times increase in the number of 16 to 25-year-olds who are using the platform. So our approach to learning is very much around telling stories. It's around provoking conversations and providing positive reinforcement and feedback to those individuals when they've successfully completed a module or when they've successfully completed a course. And it's creating that environment where you're celebrating success and it's very visible to other members of the community who are learning on that course with them. What's interesting is being able to do that in both asynchronous and synchronous learning environment, and how you can create the feeling of community when it's an uncohort based compared to cohort based learning, which I think is a really interesting challenge. I've mentioned social pedagogy. We really do believe in the merit of social learning. That's very much what Future Learn's platform was built on, combined with the 50 plus years of experience from the OU. We've really tailored our social learning to ensure courses maximize the power of global social interaction and to bring that content to life. And I think there's a lot more that we can do in that area, because social interaction is evolving in the digital sphere all of the time. You only need to look at the big social networks to see how quickly that is evolving too. But we do know that our learners love social learning. And we also know that those that interact with social learning are 6 times more likely to complete a course. Again, I think a really important measure of how many people are gaining value from using the platform and are actually completing what they first started to do. So there's a common theme here, which I'm also learning within the industry as well, which is about different types of courses and how they build up and how you can create different pathways, accredited versus unaccredited. We give the opportunity for learners to do small steps all the way through to an expert track, which is a number of short courses together, which is led by an educator to ensure that it follows an educator-led pathway all the way through to micro-credentials. And we've been heavily involved with the European structure around getting credits that you can build those academic credits together. And we're seeing quite a move in Australia for movement there. And we see that is, as others have commented, an area of movement as we move forward. We cover a number of different sectors. We do have a slightly more, we have a more female bias. Healthcare, education, sustainability, business, digital, media, arts. That's really where our heartland is. And each of these areas, they address things that are of really important global importance. Again, a key driver of me joining the organization. And we understand that these 6 areas are also important for learners and educators in Saudi Arabia, because we know it pursues the vision for 2030. I won't dwell on this too long, but just to take an example of healthcare, for example, and we've all seen that the pandemic has driven behaviors and changed our whole lives for everybody. An example of this, at the beginning of the pandemic, in a rapid response to COVID-19, we built a number of courses for healthcare professionals and for the wider general public. A course we built with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. It became the world's largest healthcare course. It generated 235,000 enrollments on a single run and was then translated into seven languages. And in spite of the challenges that healthcare workers have faced over the past 2 years, we are seeing a record interest in the UK with a number of people inspired to get into nursing. If you look at figures from UCAS, they show that more than 56,000 people have signed up to a nursing course since early 2000. Another example, business and management. In this example, we work with a partner such as Accenture, and that helped 500,000 young people who were not in education, they were not in employment, they were not training, but to help them get a foothold. And we've got a number of examples where we've done those things at scale as well. I thought it was appropriate to end on a note about FutureLearn's presence in Saudi Arabia. We've already got Future Learners in Saudi, so we're delighted to be virtually in Saudi from London today to tell you a little bit about FutureLearn. But from July 2020 to July 2021, we've had over 50,000 enrollments across 500 courses produced by 200 of our partners, covering all the subject areas. So we're super excited to be partnering with the National E-Learning Centre on FutureX. Thank you very much for letting me come onto the virtual stage, and I really look forward to the panel session and discussion with the colleagues on the panel. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hancock, and thank you all for these insightful presentations. We received actually a few questions from the audience, and now it's time to read some of these questions. And I hope we get enough time to hear our speakers' valuable answers and opinions. The first question is to Mr. Majin Kalda. What are some examples of successful government and private sector collaborations at system level to improve outcomes and use of e-learning at different stages?
Yeah, I think that a lot of folks, when Coursera and edX and Udacity and Udemy and FutureLearn all started almost a decade ago, about a decade ago, there was so much, I think, fascination with this direct-to-consumer model. And it's very powerful because individuals, no matter where they are, if they have a connection and a device, they can go straight to the source of the learning. And I think that really opens up access and opportunity. But what we've also seen become very powerful is not only working with institutions, so having a company hire a platform company like edX or like Coursera to train their employees, which is helpful because not all employees know what to learn. There was a question in the Q&A that said, people don't know what to learn. How can you help them? We have found that when employers tell their employees, if you want this job, you need to learn these skills. It turns out the employees know what to learn. They have to learn those skills. When governments tell their citizens, these are the jobs that are in demand, and these are the skills that you need to learn those jobs, and here's an accreditation program to earn a certificate to show that you know the skills to do that job, there's a motivation to do that. When campuses say, if you want to get a bachelor's degree in technology, you need to finish these courses, otherwise you can't get your degree in technology. Institutions can really help provide direction and support for learners. What's really powerful, though, is when institutions actually work with each other. And one example in the US is the state of New York. So the government, the Department of Labor, hired Coursera, and they teamed up with the university systems in New York and the business forums in New York, and they talked to the businesses and they said, what jobs are you having trouble hiring? What skills are needed to do those jobs? Then they work with Coursera to put together job training programs for the jobs in upstate New York and manufacturing in Buffalo and the financial services jobs in Manhattan. And then they actually built those curriculums and put them into the school systems in upstate New York, in Manhattan, et cetera. So really, governments working with businesses and also working with campuses to make sure that there's a coordinated policy of human capital development and economic development is huge. So New York is one example. Morocco, I mentioned, where the Ministry of Education is working with the universities to create a 4-year bachelor's program to train people. With the country of Barbados, the government basically hired Coursera to provide job training programs in tourism, especially, and also digital skills for every citizen of Barbados. In the state of Tennessee, I mean, there's many examples where governments are working with, state of Tennessee is another one, governments are working with employers and universities to link the human capital development to the economic and job requirements that the employers are having.
Thank you so much, Mr. Madinkalda. Now the question is to Dr. Agarwal. Doctor, could you please share an experience in context to edX where the industry and academia have joined together to address the upskilling and reskilling demands to meet the labor market needs?
I think some of the biggest successes we're going to see, I think, as Jeff and Andy and Badr and others pointed out, is going to be through partnerships between academia, industry, and governments. And I'll give you one concrete example of where industry and academia partnered. In our case, IBM created a micro-bachelor's program in cloud development. Now, development for the cloud is a very, very popular skill, and IBM developed the micro-bachelor's. But we collaborated with universities that looked at the program and provided credit towards an undergraduate degree. So a student can complete a micro-bachelor's from IBM, and they can get credit on a university transcript. And so these are just some examples where we see collaboration. We see collaboration the other way as well, where we see universities creating micromasters or professional certificate programs, and companies are guaranteeing interviews. So as one example, Tech Mahindra in India, they guarantee an interview to anybody from India that completes micromasters programs. You complete a micromasters programs and you're from India, they will guarantee you an interview in topics like cybersecurity, AI, data science, and so on. So these are just some examples of some incredible collaborations between academia and companies.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agarwal. What about you, Dr. Al-Harbi? Was there an experience where the industry and academia have joined together through the Institute of Public Administration?
Thank you, Hajar. As you saw in my presentation, in the latest version of ITRAI, we proposed ITRAI Muassasati, ITRAI for organizations, where agencies can have their own platform with their identity and they can customize it for their needs. And we help them in developing their programs. So these platforms can focus on the needs of these organizations. Also, this platform can be connected to the HR system, where they can track their employees and their performance on the platform. And they can put a track of training courses for each employees and follow their performance in these programs. And this is one example of the partnership and cooperation between the academia and the industry.
Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Harbi. So, Mr. Hancock, did Future Learn go through similar experience?
Yeah, very similar. We've got examples where, whether it be with Tableau, AWS, we've partnered with Coventry or the Open University to align and get accreditation. So I think you get the best of both worlds. You get the practical application of using something like Tableau, and then also you get the accreditation from the respective university. And I think it's highly valued by learners. And you can certainly see that if you have a course, an industry course, which is accredited or endorsed and is not, just by the number of enrollments that you get on the course.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hancock. And now the question is to Dr. Agarwal. What incentives do you think that industry should provide to encourage learners for upskilling and reskilling through e-learning?
Sorry, I was on mute. But thank you, Hajar. First of all, the good news here is that companies are realizing that upskilling and reskilling of the employees is very, very critical. And so they're investing very heavily in it. And there are many ways that we have seen incentives being provided. I'll give one example. The State Bank of India is I think it's the biggest employer in the world. It employs over 3 million people. They're an edX customer, and large numbers of their employees are taking courses. So how do they encourage their learners to take the courses? I think it's an age-old technique called the carrot and stick. The carrot approach is the Chief Human Resources Officer of the State Bank of India has taken an edX course, and he puts the edX certificate for the course that he passed. He puts that in his office in front of every person that he meets. He's very proud of that. So that's a carrot. It says that, look, even I'm doing this. And the stick part is that many companies are requiring employees to say, look, if you want promotions or you want pay raises, or if you just want to continue with the company, you have to go through a sequence of learning exercises, and employees have to do that. I think employers have to use both these two approaches in order to get employees to sign up.
Thank you so much, Dr. Agarwal. So from your side, Dr. Al-Harbi, what incentives industry should provide?
In terms of what, Dr. Hajar?
To encourage learners for upskilling and reskilling through e-learning.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. I believe that trust is the main drive for learning. People still questioning the quality of e-training and e-learning. And this is a big challenge for all electronic programs. And I think this is an important role for the National Center for Electronic Learning to make sure that we have a quality program in Saudi Arabia. At the same time, we need a measurement tool to measure the impact of this program, either on reaction, on learning, or on behavior, and show this result to people and make sure that this program have an effect on the skills knowledge of the participants. For IBA experience, we're trying to encourage the employees of the government sector to live the experience of learning and training through platforms. We try to give points and incentives for employees that taking courses electronically to have more opportunity to get accepted on more advanced courses in IBA. And I think awareness, making sure the quality, building the trust of these programs is going to expand the utilization of electronic training and learning. And by the way, training is harder than learning electronically because it's focused more on the skills. So it's also another challenge.
Thank you so much, Dr. Al-Harbi. And what about you, Mr. Hancock? What do you think the incentives industry should provide?
I mean, I think linked to what's going on within the current market at the moment, individuals are becoming much more savvy about the importance of knowledge and education and skills, and are becoming very savvy about, I don't know, other parts of the world, but certainly we've got the great resignation going on, and people are making moves and doing different things, and actually they're very aware of what skills. So for me, it's making sure that we provide environments where people can gain those skills, and industry or organizations need to be far better at retaining talent, and a key way of retaining talent is enabling them to develop their careers within the organization. So I think it's a bit of both. I think people are very aware of the value of continuous training and continuous skilling, and industry organizations need to be better at retaining talent by giving clear career frameworks and giving clear training opportunities to retain that talent within their respective organizations.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hancock. The last question goes to Mr. Majin Kalda. What advice would you give institutions on measuring student and teacher experience and engagement through online learning?
You know, I think the biggest advice, if you're in an institution, is to look at your institution and ask yourself, how important will it be to move quickly in delivering, innovative learning, and what is the capacity of your institution to move quickly? In particular, your governance structure. How are decisions made? How quickly can you make decisions to try something new, to embark on a new type of learning program, a new type of micro-credential, a new type of policy, a new type of training? What we found, and this is certainly true for businesses, but it is also true for other institutions, institutional agility has a lot to do with the rate of experimentation and learning and progress. Institutions that are slow and too conservative, although you have to understand risk and mitigate risk, but institutions that are too slow and too conservative will fail to learn and to adapt at a rate that the world demands. They say the world demands. For a university, are you moving fast enough to meet the needs of employers who hire your graduates? Are you moving fast enough to meet the needs of students who want to come to your school to learn skills to increase their economic prospects? If an institution moves more slowly, other institutions will better meet the needs of those employers and those students. If you move too slowly, your economy might fall behind other countries that move more quickly. We're in a global economy now, and rate of learning and agility is very high. So I would say my biggest advice is, what is the capacity for learning and agility of your institution? Try to speed up that velocity.
Thank you so much, Mr. Majin Kalda. We reached to the end of our session today. On behalf of the National E-Learning Center and the International Conference on E-Learning for Human Capability Development, we thank our distinguished speakers for this insightful session and our participants for being interactive during this session. We hope to see you tomorrow in our last session in the conference, which will be about micro-credentials and their role in enhancing future skills. Our dear guests and participants, thank you so much and have a great night.